I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here with Annette from the Department of Transport.
That's right.
And you've got a brilliant title, Annette. You're going to have to tell me what it is.
So my job title is Deputy Chief Scientific Advisor.
Wow, and that's fantastic. And here we are today talking about continuous automated plant. We've got a special event here, and you actually, in your previous role where we've spoken before with National Highways, have talked about how we get the plant industry to change and develop. So really interesting thoughts today. There's two topics I want to talk to you about is what can we do now and where are you seeing the future? And also then the skills question about how we can get new people into the industry and train others. So tell me a little bit about where you see where we are. £33.2 billion, I think, you guys have got to spend on various different projects.
Something like that, yeah. So that's right across our arm's length bodies, so Network Rail, National Highways, and the work we do to support local authorities as well. So where are we now with connecting an autonomous plant? Well, I mean, I think the thing is, when we first started down this journey, we really thought about, exciting robots, self-building roads and so forth. But really, it's not like that at all. It's all about the technology that's out there at the moment. So, for example, all of the telematics data that the construction plant already has on it and that actually we're not really utilising to best effect. So there's a lot of technology that's there, but increasingly things like 3D machine control and the increasing levels of automation and kind of safety kits that the plant can have on it are actually things we can really start using today. And then as we move forward and we start embracing a more kind of data and digital-led approach to construction, then we can really start thinking about how we automate some of those processes more and more. But I think the really important thing to do is to start now.
And I think you're right there. And I think what was really interesting is we talked about 3D rehearsals and you talked about, the understanding from projects. You mentioned sort of the A14 and the learning that's come through from that sort of project. But that sort of 3D rehearsal allows us to get things right before the diggers get on site, doesn't it?
That's absolutely right. So, a lot of the productivity gains that have been achieved in something like manufacturing, which is a lot easier in some ways because you're in a factory, the weather doesn't affect you and so forth. So it's really, really important. That time out on site is really expensive. So it's important that we can use these digital tools to actually rehearse and practice what we're going to do so that when we go out there, we're using the least time possible and we build it right first time.
We're here, folks, at the Harper Adams University, and we've actually talked about the differentials between agriculture and the construction sector. And I think what's really interesting is we've seen, like 20 years ago, automation coming into the ag sector. We're very different in construction, but there's lessons that can be learned, isn't there, from the successes of other parts and other sectors that use equipment and autonomous equipment now.
Well, that's absolutely right. And I was really interested to learn some of the differences and similarities between agriculture and construction. But it was really interesting to learn that it's actually some of the big corporate farms that are starting to use some of the more automated equipment. And that's because they can really see the difference to the bottom line. And I think that, that's where in construction and the sort of projects that the Department of Transport sponsors through its arm's length bodies, actually, these are big projects where we can really feel a difference on the bottom line if we embrace this kind of technology.
And I think when you're looking at that, we've also talked about that sort of productivity and the lag of productivity that we've got, but also the benefits that we can see up front. And it's about understanding the balance between investing in stuff, picking the low-hanging fruit of the technology that's already there, but then also seeing how we can make the changes and use data in a better way to say, how should we do things better, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. And again, one of the presentations we saw today was all about how we achieve transformation and, the fact that you can't automate chaos. So one of the really, which is the last thing anyone will want to do.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is that actually, there's a lot of data that we already generate out on sites, and that data provides a kind of baseline, if you like, for where the productivity is now that enables us to make more and more use of the data and technology that's available. And I think the insights from that are really going to tell us, where to invest next in pushing the technology boundaries into the products that we might use in sort of 5 to 10 years' time.
Well, we've also got some students here today as well that are getting involved in discussions this afternoon. And we have a problem with not just the technology and integration and stuff that we're doing, the change management that we're going through with existing employees, we also have a problem with basically people coming into the industry and attracting people into our sector, don't we? And I think this is one of the areas where we can really excel and show that the industry is a really exciting place to be.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many more skilled jobs. I was looking at an analysis recently that showed that actually there are more and more skilled jobs being generated in construction. And, you know, I think the traditional picture of somebody sort of standing out on a site and sort of basically kind of, you know, in those kind of harsh environments doesn't always turn people on. And actually what we're generating now is a much more digitally literate youth that, you know, if we can give them the training and the real world skills they need, can really come into this sector and really kind of make an impact. So I think it's really great that we've seen some students here today and hopefully sort of exciting them about, you know, the world of construction in the future, which is not just about kind of engineering and construction, which is really, really important, but also being able to drive those data and digital skills that are out there and creating skilled jobs for the economy and skilled jobs for the future to grow the economy.
And I think what's really interesting is obviously we're here at Harper Adams University and they have created this sort of connected autonomous, you know, space here, and also, you know, are looking at being a centre of excellence. And I think that's really important when we get the opportunity to test things and also to get people that are in academia to go, well, let's solve the problem in a slightly different way, you know, and the funding and the opportunities that some people have talked about for businesses allows us to make those connections, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So, you know, if you're, and this is probably one of the real challenges if you're in the construction sector, is that when you're on a job, when you're delivering a project and you're really tied to your budget and your milestones and all the time and everything, you know, you don't always have the headroom in order to think about how to use new kits differently and so forth. So, you know, if we can have the opportunity to demonstrate those things and a little bit of headroom from an organisation like Harper Adams, it's a fantastic opportunity for people to be able to experiment, be able to see that technology and explore those ideas when they're away from the construction site and grow that confidence that will help them to apply those ideas, you know, where it really matters, which is on the schemes.
And that's where we really ultimately want all of this to go to, Annette. As I say, you've been in the industry championing this for a very long time. Great to see you in your new position with your crazily cool title. And it's great to talk to you again today. We have got a long way to go, folks, but we are on that journey. And I think that will continue and accelerate. And that's why it's great here to be with a group of people from the industry and yourself that we can challenge each other and go that extra mile down the road. Cheers.
Thank you.